Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I will explain in that video some questions I received about my Impulse Expert Advisor. Let's begin. First question is how works, what kind of system is that Expert Advisor? This Expert Advisor really contains three different systems. I name the first Impulse, the second Alpha X, that is an evolution of Alpha Expert Advisor that is published in Freedom as part of the different systems that Freedom contains. And then we have Impulse Alpha, that is an hybrid between some things in Alpha and some things in Impulse Expert Advisor. That hybrid also works to use it itself alone. Alone, I mean as another kind of system. Using the three at the same time is the best, probably, because you have more sustained growth and you have a better profit total drawdown ratio. Second question, or let me explain a bit more about the kind of systems. Obviously, the name explains itself. The system is a price action system, an impulse system, a momentum system, doesn't matter, is the same kind of concept. That is, after an impulse or momentum or whatever you can call it, and the expert advisor opens the trade to find a profit. This don't use any kind of grid or martingale. Don't use any kind of that approach. Sorry, I don't find the word to express this. Don't use. Some people have have this doubt because they see different sizes in the trades, but the point is the different size is very easy to explain. The expert advisors always have a stop loss and a take profit when open the trade, and as work, the expert advisor have a fixed risk on each position the expert advisor opens. By default, for example, by default is 1% of the balance, the fixed risk the expert advisors open on each position. This 1% can be modified at the three systems at the same time, but a multiplier that is the risk factor to apply. By default is 1, now is 3 here because I did a back test with 3, with more risk than the recommended and the default. But then when you have a position, when you have a setup, the distance to the take profit and step loss depends of the strength of the movement. It's not fixed. For this reason, if you have a balance, but you have different distance to the stop loss, but you want to have the same risk, if your position hits the stop loss, obviously the size is different. This explains why we have different sizes of the trade. It's not for martingale or grid approach. Other question. Yes, this is very important. The difference between the version of MetaTrader 5 and MetaTrader 4. The systems are the same, the algorithms are the same, and it's the same code, but there is an important difference. The difference is in MetaTrader 5 version, we have some time frames that doesn't exist in MetaTrader 4. The minute 6, 10, 12, and 20 don't exist in MetaTrader 4. That means that the algorithm that uses different time frames. That means that can open different trades on different time frames in any moment. The result is, obviously, we will have more activity in the MetaTrader 5 version. So if my signal is using MetaTrader 5 version, do not expect to have the same trades if you are using MetaTrader 4 version. Later I will comment the differences between the backtest on MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 to see what represents this in the real trading. I will show it later. Another thing I want to explain is the system, the expert advisors. When you are backtesting the system, be careful, because here is a parameter that by default is 1, that when this parameter is in the value, in the default value that is 1, we'll use always the same balance to calculate the size of the trades. That is 10,000 USD. So if you want to see backtest seeing the exponential growth as soon as the balance begins to grow, you have to put this in 0. Another thing I want to comment is that even you are using MetaTrader 4 version, I recommend to you to use the MetaTrader 5 version, because without purchase the MetaTrader 5 version you can do backtest. This is you can do it without problem. Foresee the composite results using the two symbols, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Also, I want to explain that this expert advisor is not limited to these symbols. I commented before, you can use it with more cryptos if the splits are good, but you can use it with other kind of symbols. The condition have to be symbols that have a big impulse and movement. Maybe some indices, stock indices can be maybe also used. I know some users are using that expert advisor for more symbols. You have the possibility to detail in any time frame what symbols you want to use. The final question I want to explain is I've received a petition to send the same setup the signal have. The signal is this, to backtest the expert advisors and try to get that result after the period that the signal has been working, that is from the final of September of the last year, the previous year. Yes, let's go with that. Here we have one comment, but before I use it always the default parameters. So if you want to replicate this, you don't have to touch nothing. But I have been changed from the beginning to now. I have been changed the global risk of the expert advisor. I don't know exactly until when, but at the beginning I put it 1.5 more risk, and in some moment about the 100% of growth, I put the 1.0 default risk. For the reason that growth 1.65% cannot be tested directly in the backtest. But if I show you, for example, the backtest using the whole global risk factor, that is 1.0, you can see that growth from $1,000, a growth of $1,080. This is not the percentage we see in the signal, but if instead of this we used 1.5 risk, so a bit more risk, you can see the final result is above the result of the signal because it's almost 200%. That explains why the signal is between that level of growth and that level of growth, because as I explained, I used that risk for some time and then I decreased the risk. So this is using the default parameters on MetaTrader 5. What happens if you want to backtest this for MetaTrader 4? You can't do it as the signal for the problem notice. It's not a problem, it's because MetaTrader 4 don't have that time frames. So if you can see, for example, what happens if instead of this version I have MetaTrader 4 version, happens what I explained, that you will have less trades. Here we have 200, and in MetaTrader 4 version we have 100. That means less growth, less total growth, but also less risk in any moment, because you will have always less positions. That means, for example, that if I take a risk, for example, of 1.5 in MetaTrader 5, makes sense that I admit a risk of 2.5 in MetaTrader 4. That means that one direct hit of the stop loss here is 1.5% of the balance, and here is 2.5% of the balance, but here you always will see less positions at the same time. So more or less is a similar global risk. This, and use a bit more risk in the MetaTrader 4 version. If we use, for example, 2.5 in MetaTrader 4 version, we get that profit in the period of the signal. Then the last I want to comment is that that backtest. Obviously, in the life period of the expert advisor is working very well. The numbers speaks itself, but for be altogether more happy, we can see, for example, what happened if we begins in 2021 with $1,000. The backtest says using a big risk. Let's assume that $1,000 we can put a big risk because we don't mind to lose it $1,000. Then that $1,000 after that period will be $340,000. And as you can see, the total drawdown in relation to the balance in the equity is very low still, even with the risk of 3%. This is because in some moment the size of the account is as big that we can see that the trades in Ethereum are blocked for the maximum size allowed in ETH markets, as is 10 lots. So really the last steps of growth. Ethereum is not at the correct size, is have less size, so this is less risk, so this is less drawdown, less growth and less drawdown. Well, if you go to MetaTrader, sorry, to MQL5 website, and you find for a tractor, you can see the different systems and signals. You can find the Impulse Expert Advisor, and here in the Impulse comments I will publish this different backtest, and also this backtest will come inside the zip file. I will publish this backtest. Will have the set file for each combination. That's all. Thank you for viewing.